All right. So, open debate. Another one. Yesterday you were not so active. Why? I'm asking. And then I reflected a bit. We didn't talk about money and how to make money, right? That guy is laughing at me or at the money. Don't know. We figured it out. So, today we are bringing the money topic on stage. And with the useful power of Claudio, we're going to show you the topic of this open debate. So please, Claudio, give me the slide. Ooh, Gen AI is changing the world. Yes or no? Yes. A little bit of discussion this time. So, of course, I cannot be just me on this stage to talk about this huge topic. That's why I introduce Agata.
Hello, guys.
Which is coming from Paris, in France.
That's right, where we also talk a lot about AI. They say Paris is the next big AI hub in Europe.
Do you know Mistral? And
Yes?
did you like it?
Do you know Hugging Face?
They're saying, money, yeah.
Also a bit of open source, to be fair.
Also because of open source, right? Open source, money. All right. But of course, we cannot be here, just the two of us. We need the MC from the sky, directly, our Lorenzo.
Thank you for having me again. It's impressive. I'll take the central stage.
No, you have some age. Please take that.
Yeah, sorry. I'm the old guy.
All right, please.
You take the central stage.
Sorry.
Okay.
Finally.
Oh God, what do you want to talk about AI? Everyone's talking about AI, isn't it?
8 questions. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
And did you know that these questions were wrote by...
You guess it.
Try, guess it.
Who wrote these questions? Come on.
No, wrong.
Damn it.
It was me.
It was Mickey GPT.
Because no matter what, Gen AI cannot beat us, right?
Yeah,
I hope.
We're too special.
I
That's
hope.
the thing.
I hope.
For now.
So, but to be honest, I don't know. Do you know, have you ever realized the impact that Gen AI are affecting us?
I think we're just beginning to see the impact it could have, and it will not be the same everywhere and across all sectors and across all functions. But I think the big question is, how has it changed your life, your daily life, at work, at home, in your free time? Has it changed your life?
That is a great question. I would like to know, I'm going to pick someone random right in front of me because I am an old man and I cannot work too much, so please answer this question, my dear friend. How did AI change your life?
Maybe I totally agree with Miki. AI cannot be us because it's something that will stay with us. So we have to consider AI in this way. We have to consider AI like something that we will do things in parallel way. AI can do things that we regret to do, that we don't like to do, and it will not concern about this. Will be useful for this.
Okay, I'd say that's a great answer. How do you guys feel about that?
Would you say AI will augment human capacity? Yeah? Will it ever take your job?
Would everyone agree that AI is actually good for our jobs, at least? We're talking dev stuff right now. How many of you think, I'm going to go the other way around, how many of you think AI is shit at helping us do our job? Raise of hands if you think it's a bad thing. No hands raised.
No.
So
I
AI,
think you have an opinion.
halfway, I can get halfway, but I want you to tell me why, because
Go
you
in deep.
earned the right to speak, my friend.
So, from my experience, it has been really helpful in like really boring stuff. But for example, when I need to produce something, like start a new project, a new script or something, most of the times it led me to the wrong way to resolving the problem that I was trying to solve. For example, something really simple that happened to me in September is that a client asked to implement like splitted payments in a website that I built for them. And I asked to ChatGPT how to do that with Stripe APIs, which is something that you cannot do through Stripe APIs. But it completely led me astray, and I wasted basically 2 weeks implementing a solution that was not working.
Oh, wow.
But the thing is that since oftentimes documentations are kind of hard to navigate, you tend to trust something like ChatGPT because it makes sense of the terms that they use in the documentation, but then you dive into the documentation and the things that ChatGPT was telling me it was doing something were actually for something completely different. So on paper, you will look at the code and it looked like it should have worked, but in reality, it was something completely different.
And do you think that's because ChatGPT is not specialized enough? If we had a GPT for your specific use case, would it be better? Like a GPT just for technical documentation?
Yeah, maybe that could improve it, but I guess let's say, any way you can enhance it, at some point I think there is like a barrier to where it can go. And if you do like more simpler stuff, maybe that's not an issue. If you like to dive into more complex kind of software, that can lead to a nightmare situation like the one I unfortunately had.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You used a very good example because you talk from your experience. And actually, we want to ask you, what is your experience using GenAI or any kind of related stuff, AI-related stuff? And it could be not just GenAI, the latest trend, but it could be also clustering or not only natural language, of course. Because everything started with generative network, which are built to untrust other networks so they can improve and give us some fake result, because in the end, those are fakes. We cannot use it. And we are going to back to that with some politics and policy, and maybe we can talk about it. And I have another experience on that related to documentation and code. Actually, in my company, we are working in a project with GenAI related stuff. We are generating something, some images, and we are selling it. Cool, no? OpenAI cannot do that. And meanwhile, while coding, I wanted to do a POC with Playwright for automation testing. Because we are using Cypress right now, and you know, we need to pay for the parallelization. Do you know Cypress?
Cypress is so bad.
Do you use it?
So bad.
Do you use Cypress?
No, it's not. It's good.
No one. No
No
one
one
is
is-
using.
Maybe you should
Do you even do
question
end-to-end
why
testing?
did you
Oh.
use it?
Okay.
It was that bad choice. So yeah, I made a POC with Playwright, but of course I wanted to be fast because, as you know, when working in an agile development life cycle, you don't have time for POC. So I wanted to improve, to be fast. So I asked to GitHub Copilot, the Enterprise Edition, that actually is working on your code. So it is trained on your code, on your documentation. And that could be an answer for you, if that is the case, to use GitHub Copilot for enterprise use case. And actually, I asked, I have a knowledge on Playwright, so I know which kind of answer from GitHub Copilot were right, performant, or not. So I asked GitHub Copilot, sir, could you please migrate this piece of code, which was just to check an element if it was visible and clickable, in a very weird scenario on a where Z index thing in the model. which is always nice to have in your user experience website. So I asked to GitHub Copilot to migrate, and in 5 seconds, I copy-paste the code. It worked, and not only it worked, but it was also the best implementation of the code possible. So, that being said, it was working, but it was not just one scenario that made GitHub Copilot, I don't know, like the panacea for everything. So I tested out also for other features of the migration from Cypress and Playwright, and turns out that it's not that good. So still, as this guy said, there are some room for improvement for us as well, but especially for the Gen AI model, the foundation model, I would say, that using NLP to train and trying to find something, some context onto the documentation, onto the code and code bases to give us some suggestion, I would say. So yes, it's a support thing at this moment. And I would like to ask if there are any other experience about that.
Any other experiences that you would like to share? Thank you. Meanwhile, I reach over there. Could you do a raise of hands if you work for a company that actively develops something based about or of AI? So,
Cool.
not using AI, actually doing AI, okay? Okay, not so many then. Just one, actually.
No,
It's
no,
evil.
there's 5 or 6.
Can you please raise
we
your
can
hands
get
again?
into that later. Yeah, more.
Okay,
Cool.
okay, that's better. Now the question.
So I lead the data science team at an American tech company, although here I speak in my personal capacity. First of all, I like the tool in terms of the utility it provides me, in terms of finding an answer faster. If a SQL query is not working, I can tell it, and it will help me debug it faster than I would do it myself. That is pretty clear-cut. I'm sure engineers can +1 this one in most cases. I am concerned about 2 things which maybe you would be addressing later, but I'll bring it up anyway. The first one is, it is very scary to me that 6, 7, maybe 10 companies will own essentially the future of this. And relatedly, in the worst case scenario of like really machines taking over kind of a thing, which is, not totally theoretical, I say it's 1% or something. If you told me that there's a 1% chance of a plane crashing before me getting on it, I probably would not get on it. I don't think we are talking about that enough. And 1% was the infection fatality rate of COVID before vaccines arrived. We shut down societies for 2 years for that. I don't think we are taking this seriously enough.
I'm kind of reassured to hear that coming from you guys. Because a lot of people are actually asking these questions. I work in policy, right? I don't do code, but I work with people like you to understand how code works and how it can impact people. So what I can tell you is that in the European Union, for example, a lot of people are freaking out about the power that these companies are getting. Microsoft, OpenAI, Nvidia, Google, because they own all the stack, right? Like they do their chips, they do their models, they give us the applications, they have our data, they have our enterprise data, our personal data. And I think like another big elephant in the room is what are we gonna do when elections come? In the US, here, all across Europe, there are 64 countries this year going to the polls, to the ballot box. So it means that if we do deep fakes everywhere, we can spread misinformation, for example. So there is regulation that is coming to rein this in, but it will take time to implement and is so imperfect. So it will start from you, right? Like it will impact a lot the way you work, the way you develop AI, which probably brings to the next question. What other experience do you guys have? Like what kind of AI are you developing? Are you doing traditional machine learning stuff? Are you doing symbolic AI? Are you doing Gen AI? And for what kind of use case?
Okay, can I get one of those that raised their hands for AI? Any one of those? Please raise your hands again so I can find you.
Okay.
Do you want to share your experience, Maciek?
Thank you. So in our case, it's for patch stack, and we are working on automating, finding vulnerabilities in code. I mean, because it's a hard work for researchers. Let's be honest, most of the problems are quite simple, that a machine can do it, and just leave those, the most difficult logical vulnerabilities to us humans. So, yeah.
It's a great use case, to be honest, because like you have a lot of information to treat. It's not hyper complex, and you can just focus on the cases that are most difficult, right? So for the regulator, this regulation that will kick in 2 years and comes from the EU, right? Well, that it will categorize us as not very high risk, so you'll be able to continue developing your AI and commercializing it, no problem. But if tomorrow, Stability AI or OpenAI sell out tools that people can misuse, well, that's going to be high risk, most likely. But that's a great use case. Any other use cases, maybe? Huh?
Enrico.
So I'm not currently I'm not currently working on this because the startup failed many years ago, but back in the day, I was working in this startup that was doing wearable devices for bikers. We had basically an application that would vibrate on your wrist when you're biking to advise you for speed cameras and stuff like that. And we had developed an AI model to correct GPS traces because when you gather GPS traces from a device, there is a margin of error, and the algorithm that will calculate how far you were or if you were in the direction of a point of interest needed to rely on ordered traces. So like every trace needs to be like temporally ordered correctly in order to have the right course of the biker and so on. So we will use AI to correct GPS traces.
Yeah, great one too. Want to add something?
Yeah, no, I believe that use case is a recap of everything. Because yes, as also Maciek said, so the previous answer, our brain is so capable of thinking AI, so why we are not using for great achievement instead of some automated task which a machine can do. And it's even better to do it. Like CPU can iterate on us, I don't know how many cycles can do in just 1 second. But still, our brain is a kind of a CPU with a lot of cycles, actually. So why not using it? And yes, and I would like to go back to the answer from that guy back there about 10 companies holding everything. And yes, open source is great, but still, what are open sourcing it? Mistral is kind of a case now.
I think there are a lot of sub-questions there, right? Like, first, is open source sustainable long-term alternative to what those 10 companies are offering? What do you think, guys? Second is, are you guys contributing to open source generative AI big models like Meta's Llama or Mistral 7B or others, if ever you can really contribute to that? And I think that's a good start already.
I say Mistral, but there are a lot of discussion going there. But let's take a step back and talk about Hugging Face, for example, which is doing great for contributing to open source to make the knowledge shareable across all the environments, across all the developers, with a great community effort there. So I will say an applause for Hugging Face, to be honest, if you will. Or you don't believe on
We should have had them
Face.
in the room. We're
Yeah.
going to send them the recording.
And on the other side, when we talk about model, we talk about dataset, we talk about a lot of computing power in order to be able to training those onto those dataset. And I'm asking myself, where do we do the training? Cloud, bare metal, on Raspberry Pi, 32-bit.
Good luck to your Raspberry.
Good luck to your house.
And
Thank
your
you,
electricity bill. Maybe if you're sitting on a geothermal site, you can afford it.
Maybe if you have a Bitcoin farm, you can afford it.
Maybe you could repurpose it.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe first question, is any of you contributing to open source AI, generative AI foundation models? Yes, one. Yeah, to 10 models? Fantastic. President, no one else? Why is that? Difficult, not interesting, you don't care? There's no right or wrong answer, I'm just curious.
There are no contribution to the model ecosystem, you say? Like, why there are not so many contribution on building a model open source? But
I mean, the 10 big companies are so bullish about, oh, we do open source, we're amazing. But are the open source developers there? Please. Can you, I can go.
I personally don't, because even though I am a data scientist, I do not know enough advanced math needed to do this. Just quite frankly, I don't know how many people are willing to admit it on record, but I would say 95+% of data scientists have no sort of do not have sufficient knowledge to contribute, which again makes it different than traditional open source software development, because their knowledge was much more distributed. Here, again, it's not just 10 companies with money, it's 10 companies with the talent.
Thank you for being honest about being in that 5%. I think it's bold enough to be said, so thanks for that.
that's it.
Yeah,
I mean,
got
that's
all
the
answers
answer.
there. Yeah, do you agree?
Yeah, totally. And I'm onto those 99% software engineer, data scientists, whatever, that are not.
So maybe there's a challenge here for you guys. How do we make sure all of you, 2 years from now, can contribute to those models if you think it's interesting for your professional development, you know? Maybe a thought for a Schrodinger session. Just an idea for you guys.
That's definitely a good idea. Actually, I would like to challenge everyone with this thought. Do you remember the time when you were young, so young, that you were using jQuery? Do you remember that? Some of them are. But yeah, there was a time like that. And before that time, XHR was there, which jQuery built on top to do Ajax and so on. You know that story, right? So when that happened, lots of devs like us needed to know their own stuff before they were actually able to contribute to everyday work, right? I'm not even talking about open source, just doing your job. Now, I think we got to a point where we accept that we don't know and we're fine with it, right? I can just use fetch, that's it. What is behind, I'm a JavaScript guy, so what is behind async await? I'm just accepting that there's something behind it, but do I really know about it? Well, if you started your dev career 2 or 3 years ago, probably not. That's very probable. So how I would like to connect this is, I think the same is happening, but so much faster with AI and generative models. Because a dev like me and you, even though we don't know nothing, well, I definitely don't know nothing about AI, you know more than me, but at some point, we can go on any GitHub repository with some shared models, and we can read the README, read the fucking documentation, that's always important, read the fucking manual, that's the one, RTFM. We can read that, and we can set it up without knowing what is in that black box. And we can use it. Now, why would I want to know what's inside that black box? Why would I want to go behind async await? I can just use that sugar thing. I can just enjoy my work as a dev, right? So, the question here would be, would you open the black box? Raise of hand, interested in opening the black box? Okay, lovely.
Not too much over
there. So those
there.
that do not want to open the black box, now I'm interested in that. Why don't you want to? Would you want to answer? No?
Not open the box, not answer the question.
Would you
Fair
want to
enough.
answer?
Very coherent.
You? Okay, so if an AI model is a black box, because we don't know what's behind it, right? Why would I want to know more about the black box? Can't I just use it?
I think it depends on what you have to do. I mean, if it's for, if I'm testing, I can also say, okay, I just try it and I don't know what happens. If it's a business problem and there's impact, money, things, decisions, I think you need to know something.
Okay. Thank you. You also want to share your opinion?
Yes, I work with AI, and I think that it would be great to open the black box, but sometimes it is not possible. We can try to understand how this model works, but also for open models, most of the times, only the weights of the models are shared, not the training data. So we, as professionals, we should try to understand how we can build this, but yeah, this is very important. There are very few totally open source models. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts on this. Anyone else want to share why they would not be interested?
Lore, over here.
Vai, Michi. Run faster.
So my point of view is that the companies are all rushing to have AI in their processes, so they don't take the time to dig deeper. So if something is not working correctly, you don't get paid to inspect the model, open it, train it better. You just switch to another model, or I don't know, train two times the same stuff, but we are just hacking. We are not actually doing, because I'm working with AI, for example, with the Spacey library. I don't know, it's natural language processing. It was before the ChatGPT revolution. And I stopped working on that because now there is ChatGPT, so I cannot go and improve Spacey. You know, I need to do this now. It's a time thing.
It's so true, right? So many companies are just buying into the hype and not probably asking the right questions. Do I need AI in the first place? Do I need generative AI? Do I need to use OpenAI's product?
Yeah, for now, it's only important to have the word in your
pitch, right? And to
yes.
sell it to your client. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Are those the same companies that made NFTs?
No.
I'm curious. It's just curiosity, really.
No, I'm actually working on a good project where AI is it matters. Mm-hmm. We are reading curriculum vitae, so and match to the jobs. Okay. So it is important to work well, but we are not taking the time to make it work correctly. That's the problem.
This is very interesting because what you're doing, you're matching people to potential employers, right?
Yes.
So you're contributing to people's access to jobs. That's kind of a fundamental right. So this means that for the regulation, you will be a high-risk AI system provider in 2 years' time, which also means that your company will be accountable for the people that get or not get a job through your system, which goes back to the question, why would I want to look into the black box? Well, because if you have to be, including legally, accountable for what you do, you'd better know why you got one result rather than another. So the regulation does ask companies to share documentation, share a summary of the training data. Does that even make sense, given the amount and diversity of data that you can put in? But probably the question is, will having that information be enough for you to understand how a model works?
Yeah, probably the best is maybe if we can use open source models that I know with what data went in and it's more controllable. I think that's a better starting point for my case.
Lovely. I've got another question for everyone.
Okay.
How many of you, raise of hands of course, think the AI wave is overrated, just overrated? Raise of hand if you think AI is overrated. Okay, this one surprises me. I thought more. Okay, so I can guess that the rest thinks AI is not overrated and is going to bring lots of perceivable value to our lives. Is that correct? Can I get a raise of hands if you think the other way around? Not so many hands either. So what the hell are the other people thinking?
Want to hear from the back. Can we hear from someone from the back? And then come by here to the front.
Let's
I
hear
believe there's strong opinions
from this
over
row. When I ask or answer something, any declaration?
It depends, I think, because
No, don't use it. Don't use it.
That's a damn thing.
We all know
Don't do
that.
it.
We all know that.
He's ready to come
Don't
into
use
policy
it.
work.
Don't use it against me. So skip. Go.
I don't really know exactly myself, but I think it's something that is never going to go away, and it's just going to get improve and improve constantly, and it's going to get even more extensive and impact even more fields. So I don't see it as overrated. I see it as something that it's here to stay for the foreseeable future.
And I've got another questions for everyone then. So we know by now that the most used and actual models that we have right now, be it Mistral, OpenAI ones with GPTs and all the friends, they have been trained on 25, well, pretty much all the good internet, which is 25% of the internet, right? The rest is gibberish, just rubbish, right? So if we got to the point that the training material is over and the rest is just to be invented by us, not AI, how will it get better? I don't know. Do you?
It depends on the type of AI that you do, right? And feel free to challenge and correct me here, but I'm told if you do symbolic AI, for example, you may not necessarily need all that great amount of data. It's just like if you do machine learning and deep learning and if you really want to do just generative AI, then yeah, you may encounter this data problem, but I think you have an opinion over there?
I mean, it has a lot of money being invested as we speak right now. Like, JavaScript is not a very fast language, but it's kind of fast now. And it's because Google and a bunch of other organizations put a lot of money. So if this is the beginning of AI, and right now we are injecting a bunch of money there, it means it's gonna get better. Even though maybe the internet gets slower, but maybe they can improve the methods of analyzing. I don't know.
Over
Perfect.
there too?
Another thought? Who?
Maybe a final thought, because I believe we're running out of time, are we?
I think accuracy and performance. So accuracy is very important. Even if you go to ChatGPT and the likes, they imagine stuff at some point. It's not that accurate. So they know the high level, but it's not too deep. So improving accuracy is very important. And performance is another very important aspect. So we need more of it, more accurate, faster, running on our phones or whatever.
So we can optimize what we have now.
Yes, I think accuracy is the most important thing, because today it's easy to end up with rubbish, something that is meaningless or just imagination or derived from something else that is not actually knowledge. It's a side effect, let's say. And performance is also very important. So how fast it can figure it out, how fast it can respond, how accurately it can respond.
Definitely.
Perfect.
I think the knowledge doesn't end. Sorry, the knowledge doesn't end ever. The people are generating a lot of knowledge. Technology runs every year. They say that we generate as much knowledge as has been generated up to this year. So it doubles every year. It's a lot.
That's good knowledge right there. Thanks for sharing
Can we close on this whole message of hope, the debate?
Yeah. So thank you everyone for participating in the debate. Hopefully you had more questions and more answers, and we can continue talking about it at a later moment. Thank you, Agata, for being on stage with us.
Thank you, guys, and let's have this chat next year and see if you change your mind.
Lovely. Thank you very much.